Yo, what is up with you boys, man? It is Elite New York Sports Takes. I am back. It's been about 4 months, but here I am making my video on the Giants free agency recap, and I'm going to give a little bit of my draft analysis right now. I am going to make a separate video on my mock draft. That's going to be in the next few weeks. But get right into it. Brian Burns is the Giant. I'm excited for this. I think it's a little too much money. 5 years, $150 million. Some might say it's a little too much, and I think it's a little too much, but he's a young piece. And I saw people talking like, oh, he's only got 8.5 sacks, and you're paying him $35 million, $30 million. Well, he was the only person on the Carolina defensive line. Now you have Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau. So Brian Burns doesn't get to you. Kayvon's going to get to you. Kayvon doesn't get to you. Dexter Lawrence is going to get to you. Giants have the best defensive line in the league. Argue with the wall. Top 5 defense. Offense sucks, but top 5 defense. Speaking of the offensive line, John Runyon Jr. guard. He's going to fill in for Mark Lewinsky. Mark Lewinsky sucked. I could have played that guard position better than him. Looking at the right tackle now, Jermaine Alumnor. I probably butchered that name, but he's the right tackle. He's going to be starting at right tackle, I hope. I think the Giants should move Evan Neal to left guard and have the line. Andrew Thomas left tackle, Evan Neal left guard, JMS center, John Runyon right guard, and Jermaine Alumnor at the right tackle. That is an underrated offensive line. Again, not perfect, but it's better than last year, where the Giants let up 85 sacks. That's disgusting. That cannot happen ever again. Now look at the running back situation. Fuck Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley K. How are you going to go to the Eagles after saying you're going to be a Giant for life? I don't know. That's not my decision. He got paid. Good for him, but fuck Saquon Barkley. Devin Singletary. He's an underrated back. 5'6", very short, but he's got speed. I could see him getting 800 to 1,000 yards behind this line. Not just like 800 to 1,000 rushing yards, but receiving yards too, combined. Because he's a very underrated receiving back. I think that's where the Giants can use him a lot, and he can still rush. I think behind this new O-line, I could see him getting 800 to 1,000 rushing yards, and maybe tallying 600 receiving yards with 5+ TDs, I hope. Maybe. That's the hope. I think he'll fill in nice here. I hope he does. For the price we paid him, it's pretty cheap. 3 years, $16.5 million, I believe, that's pretty cheap for a running back. And Saquon Barkley got $37.5 million. Looking back at it, it's gonna sound like Cope. It's definitely gonna sound like Cope coming from me, but letting Xavier McKinney go and Saquon go to get Brian Burns in the offensive line, you gotta do what you gotta do, and I think Joe Shane did a good job on that. Speaking about Xavier McKinney, the key departures were obviously Xavier McKinney, the Packers. Good for him. He got paid. Happy for him. I'm a big McKinney fan. I have his jersey. I own his jersey, and I own too much Saquon Barkley memorabilia. Too much that I have to look at now and be depressed about. But Saquon to the Eagles. I'm not happy about it. But Devin Singletary, I feel like he could last longer than Saquon Barkley. Pause. I feel like he could last longer injury wise. I feel like he could definitely be a better piece. Longevity wise, but obviously Saquon Barkley. He's a great top 5 running back in the league. But one more thing about free agency is the tight end signings is Waller retiring. He should just let the Giants know at this point. It's been a little too long. You gotta let the team know if you're gonna stay here or if you're gonna retire. But if he does come back, I like to see Darren Waller back. He's always injured, but when he does play, he's a great tight end. But the secondary, safety-wise, and secondary cornerback needs to be addressed in the final days of free agency and in the draft. I think the Giants. I have 3 outcomes for the Giants in this draft. Pick 6 is either gonna be Malik Neighbors or Romo Duns. 2, they're gonna fuck the future up and take JJ McCarthy, which I'll cry about. And third option is trading back with the Vikings. The Vikings trade up with the Giants, take JJ McCarthy. The Giants get pick 11 and 23, I believe. At 11, you go someone like maybe Brian Thomas Jr. And at 23, you can go Michael Penix and get a receiver and quarterback duo, which would be crazy. In the second round, you can go cornerback. I don't know his name, but there's someone the Giants have been meeting with from Rutgers. They've been interested in him. And a cornerback day 2, they're always underrated, I feel. Cordell Flott was a round 3 pick. He's underrated. Trey Hawkins was round 6. He didn't really do much this season, but I expect more from him next year. But a safety signing needs to happen before the season starts. Jason Pinnock's good, Dane Belton's good, but you just need someone else there to solidify that safety position. And a secondary corner is needed. But right now, the Giants should focus on receiver in the draft. I mean, the Giants haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver since Odell left, and that's 6 years ago at this point. So getting a receiver is the number one priority for me right now. Quarterback, it's iffy. I mean, you signed Drew Lock, but I think you just need a receiver. I can't think of anything else. If you take J.J. McCarthy, you're going to ruin the franchise. I want to see Daniel Jones behind this O-line with some weapons. We've been saying this for how many years now, but I do want to see this. And yeah, it's pretty much my free agency recap. New video coming, hopefully 3 or so weeks. I'm going to discuss the draft and give my mock draft on that. Appreciate y'all.